Your diary full of shit. Just play along, me, myself, and I, and no one else, or yo, I'm so legit. I checked out Terry Papipati's channel. He must have had everything backed up and whatnot, because he's up and running, and he's got recent videos as well as old videos, so. But, anyway, get caught up on that stuff. Well, no, I think that might be the other one. Yeah, because I think he had 2 channels. Well, he's still doing stuff, but I think he had one channel where, well, no, it seems like he had one where it was him and his sidekick did like these talking videos that were like, an hour and a half to 2.5 hours long sometimes. Like, I don't know I don't know why they were that long, but I don't know if this is the old one that was nuked or whatever, but I'll look into it. Because like I said, he's got connections, he knows people, plus he's a capable guy. His sidekick, I want to kind of keep things on the down low, but I don't know why. I'll probably have some videos posted him, but anyway, whatever. Saved in folders, but he's like a capable dude, as far as sidekick duties go, I'm just talking shit, they're 2 dudes that put out a thing, but Teddy Papipati is like, it's his face, in the circle. It ain't, his sidekick. So, but anyway, it rained all day today. It's supposed to be nice the rest of the week. Yeah, it was kind of nice today. We only worked 3 hours, so I was home early. It was overcast and rainy, just a light, like soaker rain. I didn't watch any movies on Netflix or any TV. I just watched YouTube videos. Humped my pillow. And I think tonight, and it's still kind of raining a little bit, it's peaceful. I've mentioned this before. Sweet, sweet Katie Boo. I ain't got anybody to enjoy it with. And when I say anybody to enjoy it with, I mean a sexy zebra mama, So, let's leave that. I mean, I don't have any friends, but if I did, I wouldn't be like, gee, hey, Walter, Jimbo, wanna come over and sit out on the porch and drink a beer and listen to the rain? Put our coats on and just... No, that's not what I mean. You know what I mean. So, and it's nice because in my bedroom, I can like hear it tapping, against the back wall. I can hear it, like on the window and the roof and, just all over the place. But I can especially hear it against the back wall. Now, this house was built by, I forget what it's called. It's, it came out in 2 pieces, right? So, so it's got like, when it's all said and done, including the siding outside and like the walls on the inside, this house has like 6-inch walls, They're even thicker downstairs, because the whole thing is like a concrete foundation, because it's a walkout basement. But I opted to have the whole thing, just poured in, as concrete, so the windows are, in a concrete frame. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, having just the back half concrete and then the front, be wood. So, and I do sleep with a ceiling fan, which offers white noise, which I like. And it moves the air around. You know what I mean? So I like that too. But it's like a soft white noise, so I can still hear rain and whatnot. It's pleasant. I think, especially seeing as it's overcast and dreary and whatnot, it kind of sets the mood, and your brain releases that serotonin or whatever that makes you sleepy. I'm gonna go to bed early tonight. Um, only about like an hour or whatever. But because I didn't work today, I'm not as tired as I usually would be. So, I mean, I sleep great and I don't have problems falling asleep. But my problem is I sleep so good, I actually enjoy waking up and like shifting positions so that I can fall asleep again. And I like to think about, you and holding you as you drift off to sleep, and like us on like camping trips, and just basically different scenarios where we just peacefully slumber together, sharing a bed under the covers. And like I said, I actually I have a future foam like mattress, and then my bottom sheet is actually a comforter that I use, and then my top sheet is also a comforter, and then in the winter I have a quilt that's actually kind of thin. My mom made it, but it's like a heavy, like dense quilt, so that adds like that weight, and that's a thing. You've probably heard of weighted blankets. They actually sell them. You could buy a weighted blanket if you want to, or just throw on, another somewhat thick and heavy blanket on top of the one you already got. But most, bed sets, there's like, like the thin wraparound one that wraps around the mattress. And then there's like a thin sheet that goes over that, and then there's another thin sheet, maybe even two, and then a comforter, and there's like, most beds are not a comforter above and a comforter below, and then in the winter a thin yet dense and heavy quilt that I use, because it helps. It just it sleeps better. It's a different feel, when it's weighted. And like I said, I sleep with all my pillows and stuff. And we'll work it out, our sleeping habits, and I'll show you how to cuddle like you've never been cuddled or cuddled before. Because sometimes I'm going to want to sleep on my other side and I won't be holding you. So you'll wake up and be like, why isn't he holding me? He's sleeping on his other side holding the pillow. So that's just how that's going to work. I'm a tourist, a friendly bullshitter. I like excess, I like luxury, I like comfort, and I don't like change. So even with you in my life, don't think that you're going to be my new pillow. I mean, you are, but but don't be shy, girl. Go ahead and cuddle me. Throw a leg up over me, and whatever you want to do. So we'll work it out. But anyway, almost 10 minutes in here. About 10 minutes, I guess that's. Oh, so yeah, that's it. See, usually, I get just under 9 hours of sleep. That's my regular like sleep schedule, right? I know that audio presentation I did the other day. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get 10 hours sleep. Oh, an extra 15 minutes. Woo. But like I said, the thing that I need to be careful of is, I need to just, if I wake up and stuff, I need to just quickly fall back asleep. I can go ahead and think about you or whatever, but I need to not waste too much time. It sounds weird, but it is what it is. I'm kind of a weird guy. You know, but so my 8 hours and 45 minutes could turn into 8 hours, which is enough. But like I said, I mean I'm fine. I wake up refreshed. Well, whenever you wake up, especially if it's early. But I'm not like tired, or anything like that. Um, I'm not gonna say what my sleep schedule is when I go to bed and when I get up, but um, I go to I wake up earlier now and I go to bed earlier now. But I still have the luxury of getting plenty of sleep. I don't have to help little Timmy with his homework or little Susie Q or whatever. Doesn't say it generally speaking, of course, but um, I'm just me. You know, I can go to bed whenever the fuck I want. Boy, that just sounded old, didn't it? Like I said, that old bull and the young bull thing. I'm gonna party. I'm gonna go to bed. Usually, it's the exact opposite. Like if you're a kid or something, I get to stay up as late as I want. Shit. Versus what I just said, man. Single living be awesome, man. I can go to bed as early as I want. Sexy zebra mama, come cuddle with me. You ain't got nothing to do, any pressing issues, you can just call it an evening. Okay, all right.